Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled People. In today's episode, two races to enjoy a tropical island and ends up paying the price. Pet and house sitting for free, but my honeymooning friends left their place disgusting. Karen tries to steal my phone thinking she knows best. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Two races to enjoy a tropical island and ends up paying the price. I've been struggling to find the proper subreddit for this, so if there's a better one, let me know. I was just reminiscing about the absurdity of this situation that happened almost 2 years ago, and I've decided it's too good not to share. I'll be honest, it involves a lot of legal stuff that I'm not sure I'm talking about 100% correctly, but I can assure you this story is true as is the end result. This might be a long one, so buckle up. For context, my mom is a traveling healthcare worker, not a nurse nor a doctor, just to clarify, and we're from the US. Usually her contracts last from 8 weeks to 9 months, and she's worked all around the States. This results in an ungodly amount of airline miles that she likes to gift me so I can visit her wherever she's on contract. I get a nice vacation, she gets to see me, I get to see her. Win-win-win. 2 years ago, after I graduated and was living at my mom and her long-term boyfriend's house in a COVID lockdown-induced depression and existential crisis, my mother scored her first overseas contract on a tropical island for 6 months, from June to the end of November. I had gotten a shitty job in my hometown to start saving for whatever my next step was. 3 months in, my mom realized the downside to being on a very small island where international travel to and fro was a pain in the butt. She was lonely. This prompted a very bashful phone call in which she asked me if I wanted to take a break from working and come stay with her for a while. I jumped at the opportunity and we made arrangements to get my passport renewed and booked a ticket for me to stay with her for the last few months of her contract. All of this context comes to the main character, another US-based traveler, also not a nurse nor a doctor, who was my mother's co-worker. Let's call her Mary. Mary, to put it bluntly, was racist as hell. And she was not enjoying getting paid to work on an island with crystal blue water on white sand beaches. Why? Because she failed to realize that she wouldn't be treating elite white resortgoers. No. Turns out the people who tend to be treated at the local hospital were the native islanders. Ya know. The people of color. She was also a COVID denier, Trumper, and anti-vaxxer. Really just a blast to talk to, sarcasm. She was so livid about having to go to a grocery shop surrounded by POC, not what she called them, hint, it starts with N and ends with R. It didn't matter that she could go to the beach every day after work and was lodged in a multi-million-dollar vacation home on one of the highest points of the island with a gorgeous view. Nah. She was too busy recoiling at the sight of, gasp, melanin. So yeah, she hated being there and wanted nothing more than to leave. She latched onto my mother for company, and my mother reluctantly obliged her for a time due to aforementioned loneliness. The main conflict of this story comes when my mother's contract began to reach its end, while Mary still had a month to go. Mary fought tooth and nail to renegotiate an early end of her contract, but was denied. So what does she do? She just leaves. Like, packs all her stuff and departs to the US anyway. No biggie, right? She just doesn't get her remaining paychecks? Wrong. Here comes the beauty of contracts. See, the contract she agreed to comp her lodging on the condition she fulfill her employment duties. Since she very clearly had no intention to, the contract was therefore voided and the compensation for her lodging was promptly retracted. She was now on the hook to pay back this country's health ministry for the several months of rent they had paid to house her in that gorgeous vacation home with a beautiful view. I'm not sure how much it would have been, but I'm guessing $1 million at the very least. Mary was now not only a crap employee in this country, but a literal fugitive. But she figured they could only arrest and charge her if she ever stepped foot back on their soil, so she wasn't concerned. She was mostly right, but that wasn't the only thing this country's government could do. They proceeded to ring up the good old US government, notify them of the charges, and let them take it from there. They couldn't have her extradited, but they could ask the US to flag her passport until she paid them or faced charges, so the US government said, "Sure buddy, we'll do it." And they did. Mary can't leave the US anymore. She can't even go to Canada. She tried to join her friends on vacation in Mexico but wouldn't be allowed to cross the border. So if you ever think you screwed up a job really badly, just remember that you at least aren't an actual international criminal who can no longer leave the country. I'm not sure why her racist but even wanted to go to Mexico. I heard there are a lot of Mexican people there. That line got me. No surprise that someone as stupidly hateful as Mary was also too stupid to read the fine print in her contract. Don't enjoy being in places where people look different than you? Fine, enjoy not being able to visit anywhere else ever again. This is beautiful. She was ridiculous. My mom and I would grocery shop at the small local stores because it was cheaper, but Mary insisted on using the one super high-end store that the super rich vacation-goers used in order to be around more white people. She then complained about how much more expensive her groceries were compared to ours. Reminds me of a contract I had though in the States. A racist coworker yelled at two women we were training. He thought they were talking too much in their class. They were discussing our software and whether what he was training applied to the employees. It turned out the two brown women were the CEO and COO of the hospital. They asked our company to remove him from the contract. He was also a day one MAGA. Many of them find a way to expose themselves for the horrible human beings they love to be, and fortunately, it costs them in the long run, not us. Oh, wow, that must have been extra fun to watch. It always confuses me when racist people go to the country where the people they hate live. LOL, like you say go back to Mexico and shit, but then they jump on a plane and go to Mexico. Like when they wanted to build the wall but fought to go across the border. I'm still confused as why. Years ago, I saw a video of a bunch of college kids on spring break in Mexico at a club at the beach or something chanting, "Build that wall." It was baffling. Because they assume the wall is only a one-way barrier. They can go have fun, but the people they don't like can't cross into their territory. Imagine being so racist that a mere month of paradise can't tempt you unless there's someone who barely tolerates you but sorta kinda looks like you is there. Did you enjoy your stay with your mom? That sounds wonderful. It was amazing. My mother and I are very close and we weren't rushing to do everything because we had time. Just her and I exploring and enjoying the island at our own pace. Pet and house sitting for free, but my honeymooning friends left their place disgusting. My dear friend and her husband are on their honeymoon for a month and asked some of their friends to pet sit for free while they're away. We agreed so that they could enjoy their trip. But the expectations and the conditions of their apartment are ridiculous. Especially for a favor. I have to stay at their place because my landlord doesn't allow dogs. When I arrived, their apartment was filthy. This is one of my best friends, so I know she can be a little messy. But she and her husband always cleans before having guests. I didn't expect the apartment to be this gross when people were coming to help them out. There was literally food rotting in the fridge in gross brown liquid, piles of stuff everywhere, clumps of hair all over the bathroom, trash in the trash cans. They didn't strip the bed before they left. Instead, they left piles of mismatched sheets on their dirty floor. One for each friend who's staying over. When I grabbed my pile, it didn't smell clean, and there's no washer or dryer here, so I ended up buying new sheets. Also, I found a roach. Cool. I cleaned the fridge and took out the trash, but this apartment needs a deep clean, and that's way beyond what I'm willing to do for my friends. I'm the first person to stay, and I feel like I need to warn everyone else about the conditions. The pet sitting document my friends sent was 2 pages long. One of my tasks was picking the dog and all his stuff, including his giant crate, up from a kennel an hour away in the middle of my workday. I had no idea I'd have to do that when I agreed to help them out. On top of that, they keep texting me with additional requests. I have no problem helping my friends while they enjoy their trip. I've pet sat for other friends and it's been fine. But these two are treating me like hired help, only worse. I can't imagine them leaving their house this way if strangers were coming to stay. I briefly mentioned some of the issues to them but don't feel like getting into it over text or disrupting their honeymoon. Obviously I'll be talking to them about the situation when they get back. Because boy oh boy are they taking advantage of their friends. I get it. They're tired and overwhelmed from planning a wedding and honeymoon. But properly handling pet care should have been at the top of their list while planning. Weddings aren't carte blanche to be disrespectful to the people and pet they love. Update: thanks so much for the helpful feedback and advice. I sent them a before pic of the fridge and asked them to hire a cleaning service. I also told them they have to reach out to their other friends to let them know the deal and that they should bring their own sheets and towels. Update 2, got a text back. They said they were sorry the apartment wasn't up to my standards, but they'd done their best. They would prefer that the groom's mom come pick the dog up so they could enjoy their honeymoon. So that's how it ended. The text made it pretty clear that they think I'm the problem and that they shouldn't have to worry about their pet or home while on vacation. Maybe we'll talk about it when they're back. Maybe not. Overall, I'm just sad about the situation. This is a very close friend. I'm kind of stunned, but at least I'm home now. That sounds awful. Do not respond to their additional requests, you are doing them a favor and they are taking you for granted. Thank you. Yeah, I'm in you get what you get and you don't get upset mode. Not only are you doing them a favor and they're taking advantage of you and taking you for granted, you should never say yes to them again. Not until you hear them out on everything they expect. My go-to answer when someone asks if I'm busy on such and such a day is it depends on what you want me to do. I also deep clean my house before my pet sitter comes over. I'll be gone for 2 weeks and not only will the house be cleaned, I will have the refrigerator stocked with what the pet sitter wants to eat. We have a pet sitter coming to our house for a week in 3 months and have already started to clean our already clean house in preparation. I'm talking cleaning light fittings, ceilings, fans, gardening and making it a really nice place to spend some time. Plus we have messaged the sitter to find out what food he likes so that we can stock the fridge. The better you treat the sitter, the better that'll treat your pets. Plus, human decency and respect, of course. Similar situation a few years back. Friend left for honeymoon, I volunteered to dog sit for the 3 weeks. Their apartment was about 20 minutes closer to my work, so it worked for me. Walked in, saw the mess, grabbed the dog and dipped out. They sent me an invoice for the deep clean that they had to hire out due to me not staying and cleaning up their mess. Haven't seen or heard from them since. I just had a pet sitter take care of my pets for the last 2 weeks. My house was scrubbed clean, new sheets put out with towels. I tidied our fridge and left them a clean fridge shelf. I worked a full day before I left and still managed to clean. I had a pet sitter come in for 1 hour per day to feed, water, hang out with my cats. She cleaned the litter box and brought my mail in. But before she came over, I made sure the house was as clean as it could get. I even scrubbed out the fridge and disinfected the bathroom. I'd be so embarrassed to have someone come into my home and find it the way Opie's friends left theirs. Wow. I can't imagine taking advantage of anyone, much less a good friend. We just got back from a 5-day trip. I paid my dog sitter $800 and I wouldn't even ask her to water my flowers. I paid a neighbor to do that. I had my house spotless before she came. That's just so disrespectful. Dog sitter here. While $800 is very kind for 5 days. Speaking for myself, I have no problem watering flowers or anything else that needs to be done to keep your home afloat, so if you're comfortable asking the sitter next time, I bet they wouldn't be bothered by the request. Just my 2 cents. I mean, if they staying in your house just throwing some water on plants isn't being cheeky. As someone who has a pet and house-sitting business, I thank all of you who appreciate and look after your sitters. They were definitely expecting you would clean up their house for them. I would be furious if I were you. Especially having to drive an hour to pick up the dog. These people are horrible and don't care about using and abusing their friends. I wouldn't mind if it was just what OP messed up while he was there, but leaving the spare sheets lying around like they were the new dog bed and leaving the place a mess? How did they get married and not prevent getting the place ready for him? Pet sitter even before the wedding? They're barely married and they're already taking advantage of people's decency to help clean up after other people's houses to do the job of a maid. I would call them and tell them you are leaving. They can get a maid service and a pet sitter if they can go on a month-long honeymoon. Karen tries to steal my phone thinking she knows best. I was comfortably seating on the bus, enjoying a game on my phone. Being considerate, I always keep my phone on silent, so I wasn't disturbing anyone. The bus ride was an hour long, which gave me a great opportunity to have some gaming fun. Suddenly, a Karen I didn't know comes up to me, demanding that I give her my phone. It turns out, she believed it was her responsibility to teach me a lesson about using phones on public transport. She thought taking my phone was a noble mission. She genuinely thought she was doing me a favor by taking away my source of entertainment. She believed losing my phone would be beneficial for me in the long run. I calmly tried to reason with her, expressing my confusion and explaining that I wasn't causing any harm. However, it becomes clear that she strongly believes in her righteous mission. She genuinely thinks that taking my phone is her way of imparting wisdom and correcting my behavior. And after a couple minutes of arguing she then yells at the bus driver that I stole her phone. The bus driver gets out of his seat and he was believing her, so I told her to take my phone, turn it off and give it to the woman to try to unlock it. She does a random password, it doesn't work. She does a random password again, it doesn't work. She does a random password again and again and again until the phone locks. I tried telling the bus driver that since she doesn't even know the password to her phone, then it is at hers. The bus driver, I was still a bit skeptical, so when the phone unlocked again, I've put in my password and got it in one try. And somehow she doesn't back down and says, so what if I tried to take the phone? It is still very disrespectful to use your phone in public. I was just trying to teach this boy a lesson. I spent 40 minutes waiting for the bus because Canadian Transit is a little piece of shit, and when I sit down I'm trying to relax by playing some games. This Karen tries to steal my phone. Yikes. What a weird situation. I think you handled it brilliantly. I'm not sure I'd have stayed so polite though. Thank you, it was pretty annoying, but I would not have trusted the bus driver or the Karen with the phone. I would have told them if they wanted me to hand over my phone, then they would have to call the police and I would show the police that I own it. Fair enough, but this is a pretty small town, plus I had found my iPhone and one of those little tasers that's on phones for anti-theft. There are a few other questions I have here. If there are mostly teens on the bus, why is this adult going after you? Most Karens won't pick on one kid in a bus full of teens, because they would get laughed at. Why did the bus driver kick you out even after it was obvious that the phone was yours? Something isn't adding up here. First off, I was the youngest, I am only 13. And most of the other teens were pushing NBA heights at 16 and 17. And second up, I didn't get kicked out, nor did I ever say I did. What were the other passengers doing on this ride? None of them said anything? And most of them were teens, and the only thing they kinda did was record the situation for some reason. I really don't understand interacting like this. There's only one response: get away from me. I have no idea why people entertain situating like this. Crazy. Well, I'm 13 and a woman is in her late 40s, and I really don't have the guts to insult somebody even if they are the one being the asshole. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.